Hi everyone, welcome to another Pod Life Express. Today we'll be reading in Exodus 2:1, and it says, "Now a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could not hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were along the river bank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. 'This is one of the Hebrew babies,' she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, 'Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?' 'Yes, go,' she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, 'Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you.' So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, 'I drew him out of the water.'" Now we all know Moses' story began. Jochebed, his mother, placed baby Moses in the basket and sent him down a river to escape death. And we often think of this passage as the story of Moses, but it might be more appropriate to call it the story of Jochebed. The mother of Moses is famous in the eyes of God, but not because she birthed baby Moses, but because of her faith. And faith is one of the most frequently used words in the Christian's vocabulary, but it may be one of the most understood. We're talking about faith today, but not as saving faith, but as sustaining faith. Sustaining faith in the assurance that the thing which God has said in His Word is true, and that God will act according to what He said. The conditions described in the first 2 chapters of Exodus indicate that indeed those were dark days for the children of Israel, and everything looked hopeless for the Hebrew slaves. The new king had given an order that every Hebrew boy that is born must be thrown into the Nile. Jochebed had no fear of the king's order, and she was aware that if her child should be a boy, the order that the male baby would have to die in the Nile River, and if the parents disobeyed, they were too supposed to die as well. I can imagine how hard it must have been for her to put her son in the river, knowing there would be a chance she would never see him again. And this is the first thing we need to learn from Jochebed. When difficult times come into our lives, we cannot be filled with fear and despair. We must keep our faith and trust that God is in control of the situation. Jochebed's faith was rewarded by being reunited with her own child. The goodness and mercy of God were so great that the mother was even paid for nursing her own son. God's providence was seeing to it that Jochebed was being paid from royal funds to look after her own child. This is a clear example of how God gives, provides, and answers more abundantly than we can think or even ask. As we journey through life, all of us, like the parents of Moses, we will have our faith tried. The afflictions of life are like driving through a tunnel. The sun has not stopped shining just because the driver in the tunnel doesn't see it. So the sun of righteousness is still shining, although the dark tunnels of our trials and afflictions, sometimes we don't see him. So we need to learn from Jochebed to have sustaining faith every day and keep our faith in Jesus, because he is always there and he is the light at the end of the tunnel, even after all the trials and afflictions that we go through. God bless you.